Hey, so we're gonna go over administrative hiring. This wouldn't be for the person that, has 50 employees and needs to scale to 100 to hit their revenue goals or anything like that. This is for what I see a lot of, at least in the, the Facebook groups that I'm in the calls that I'm on all the time is how do I hire an admin? And so I want to start this with a story about a conversation that I had. It's what, January 6th or 7th today. It was actually on the second or the third, but it was this last Tuesday, and I was talking to a gentleman. He was in Oregon, and I thought it was such an interesting perspective because I got on the call with him. He's doing very well, like many of you, right? He's got 400 Medicare clients. He's got 100 group health client, or like not clients but actual businesses, so more than that many clients. And I asked him, I'm like, so what's your problem? Like you probably have good revenue. Like what's the issue? And he goes, I'm just tired. I'm making, my top line's $400,000 a year. My bottom line's $200,000 a year, or maybe 250. But I am tired. I'm tired of doing all the sales, all the marketing, all the finance, all the things, right? And at the end of that call, and to back up a little bit, like I know how that guy feels. I've been there 100%. I've only had employees for 2.5 years. But I've been there as a person of you got to do everything initially to get to a point where your revenue can afford an admin. But at the end of the call, he said, my dad's been in the business for a long time. He makes, $800,000, $900,000 a year. And he said, never hire employees. They are cancer. They are like, let me say that again. They are cancer. And I thought that was so interesting because at the end of the day, who hired those employees? Who onboarded those employees? Who set expectations for those employees? Who incentivized those employees to get better? Who built a comp structure behind those employees to have a long-term mind frame with these, with your business? And I just can't tell you how much I disagree with that statement that employees are cancer. Because again, whose fault is it? Well, it's the person who hired them. It's the person who onboarded, trained all the different things. And at the end of the day, again, you hired them. And let me back up again. I disagree and I agree with that your employees can be cancer. They can be if you don't hire the right people, you don't have expectations, you don't have incentives, you don't have ways that they can grow, you don't have a long-term mindset, you don't pay them correctly. They absolutely can be a cancer or your worst nightmare. But I'm going to tell you how they can be the best thing that ever happened to your business and just the things that I've learned along the way of hiring, close to, we have about 20 staff now. And so we've probably hired about 50 people over the last 2.5 years of maybe people that we've had to let go or people that even quit and the lessons I learned along the way. But I think I started with that story because like you got to have the mind frame of it's always your fault. It's always if the employee sucks, you probably suck because again, who interviewed them, who picked them to be on your staff? And so from a tactical perspective, let's talk about the steps to hire your first employee. Number one is Indeed. And we use Indeed almost exclusively for our hiring. So if you look at my staff, again, it's about 20 people. It's sales, it's operations, it's service, it's finance. We have a mail house too. If you look at it, about 10 are from internal referrals and 10 are from Indeed. So like when I started hiring employees, my first employee was actually my barber's wife. Okay. So it wasn't someone that I knew directly. It was someone that I knew indirectly. And that's how I would recommend it. I would not recommend hiring someone that you know personally because it can become a personal thing rather than a business thing. And at some points, you have to set accountability with your employees. But the first step, again, if you don't have a referral from a referral, I would go straight to Indeed. I might even put a hiring like our hiring job ad maybe in the comments of this, or I don't even know where you're seeing this. But maybe there's a template attached, or maybe there's not. And if there's not, I apologize. But we start anybody at a minimum of $20 per hour. So even administrative, they're going to start at 20 and go from there. That's in Springfield, Missouri. So if you're in St. Louis, Missouri, you might have to start them at 23. If you're in Dallas, Texas, you might have to start them at 25. It's whatever the market takes, right? And you want to pay above market. So for example, in Springfield, our average administrative role is going to pay 16 to 17. And then, so we pay 20 just to be above market so that we can be even that much more picky and also find the best talent, find people who are currently working. If someone's not currently working, odds are you probably do not want them. You want people who are currently working, and if they have, they're going to put a 2 weeks notice, and that's what you want. You want the people who are currently working, which means that they have a good track record and everything. But you're going to start on Indeed. You're going to get if you pay well, if you pay above market, you're literally going to get hundreds of applications for an administrative role. For example, I'm in Springfield, Missouri. We just started a second, or in this case, third office in Joplin, Missouri. We paid above market again. It started at 20 and or 20 an hour, $800 a week salary. We pay salary rather than hourly. We're 8:15 to 5 Monday through Friday. We got over 140 applicants for that job. Is every single one 100% qualified? Is every single one great? No, but we're going to be able to find someone, and we have interviews set up this week for that. So that's the first step. Pay over market. I don't know that you need health insurance. We have it for my team specifically, but it's not something you need until I would say you get to 15, 20, 25 employees, maybe even further than that, because we have it. It's something I wanted to add to our benefits package, but I don't know that it affects our hiring by any means because we have a very young staff. I'm 26. Our whole staff is 23 to basically 35, and then we have one gentleman who's 48, and that's my entire team. So start with Indeed. Again, copy my job ad, doesn't really matter to me. Pay above market, you're going to get flooded. Then you're going to want to interview probably 8 to 10 people off of that, the best resumes you can find. You're going to want a second interview, probably 3 to 4, and then pick the best out of the 3 to 4. And if you're wondering, hey, what do I ask these people? I would use Chat GPT, go on YouTube, find interview questions, whatever fits your business model, because not interview is going to be the same. And one thing that I do, I don't interview as much anymore. My team does the majority of the hiring nowadays, and onboarding and training. But one thing that I am big on is I am trying to get them negative as fast as possible in that interview to know how they react with their managers, the owners, their colleagues, all the different things. And so I will ask them, hey, a common interview question: why'd you leave your last position? If it's something like, oh, I just didn't feel like I had a lot of upward mobility, I felt like I might be in the same role for a long time. Oh gosh, did you have a horrible manager too? And if they're like, yeah, I hated my manager, red flag. Okay. So I'm going to instigate that. I'm going to ask them questions that I'm going to push that upon. Oh my gosh, what did they do? Did they micromanage you? Did they do these things? And if they continue to push in a negative direction, I can tell you we're not hiring that person. Or if you look at their last roles and it's like, yeah, I left because of the manager. And then the position before that, I left because my coworkers are stupid. And then the position before that, it's because, the owner didn't know what they were doing, right? If it's always someone else's fault, you don't want to hire that person. And so that is the biggest thing that I always try to do. They can tell you about themselves and they can tell you their accomplishments and all these different things. But I want to know what happens when they have some adversity in their life, how they react. Do they look internally? Do they look at exterior factors? That's a really, really big thing for us. If it's negative at all, we're going to end that interview right there and say, hey, thanks for coming in. We're not going to move forward with this. And the reason we can do that is because, again, we pay above market, so we can be very, very picky. If you're paying below market, good luck. Good luck. Your employees are going to be cancer. They're going to be cancer because you can't pay enough to find the right candidate for yourself. So once you bring them on, you need to have expectations for them. Hey, the expectation is to do this. The expectation is to do. There's got to be some accountability, but there's also got to be some incentives, right? So every single person in my business is incentivized in some way, some shape, right? And so on the sales side, obviously they get commission. How do you incentivize a customer service rep? Guess what? If one of our clients cancels, they get them back on the phone and we get them back, there's bonuses to be paid. If one of the clients, let's say they call in for a customer service issue and they bring up a cancer plan, a hospital plan, life insurance, or any of those things, and they get it back to a salesperson, guess what? There's bonuses to be paid. There's persistency bonuses. Even our mail house, we have incentives on the amount of production we're getting out from a mail perspective. Finance, same thing. Hey, if you save us money, you actually get commission on that. So there always has to be incentives. And if it's yes, I pay above market, as long as it makes sense financially, I would always pay those bonuses out. Because if you align incentives as a company, if you're incentivized off company net profit, why don't you incentivize your team off things that will increase your company net profit, right? Because if they increase it and they get a percentage of that net increase, you're going to make more money at the end of the day. But none of this will happen if you have the bad mindset of employees are cancer. At the end of the day, it is your fault. So, to back up a little bit, tactical things, Indeed, internal referrals, interview process, onboarding, training, right? And we'll do a different video about onboarding and training. But these are the simple things about how do I hire an admin, Indeed, internal referrals, interview process, knock it down to 8 to 9 candidates, interview those, interview 3 to 4 again, find the one you like, try to get them negative as quickly as possible. But I'm not going to I know I said I fully disagreed with the guy earlier about employees are cancer. I agree with the fact that they can be. I disagree with the fact that it is anyone else's fault other than the business owner. So if you need help with this, hopefully I didn't forget to add the job ad in wherever you're seeing this. But I hope this is helpful. I get questions about it all the time, and it's usually the main pain point that agents have in their business.